Can one company deliver on a commitment to every person in Michigan? Count on it. Count on Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan to be there for our members and for everyone across Michigan. Every day, in every zip code, we're committed to our Michigan communities. At free clinics, offering help to those in need. At schools, teaching kids healthier habits. All over Michigan, we're making a difference because this is our home too. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of Weekly with Wheatley here in 2024. I'm your host, Brady Beedon. Before we get started, we're here live at lovely Woodbridge Pub, and if you're ever looking for a cozy spot in downtown Detroit or midtown Detroit with great vibes and even better food, you come on down to Woodbridge Pub. Located in the heart of historic Woodbridge neighborhood, we're known for our delicious locally sourced menu and craft cocktails. It's the perfect spot for a casual night out or weekend fun after a Warrior game. Whether you are relaxing on the patio, you can enjoy some live music, or catch up with friends, Woodbridge Pub is your go-to spot for a true Detroit experience. Stop by today and taste what makes us a local favorite. So Brady Beedon here, and we will start off this week joined by O-line coach Rosco Byrd. Coach, thank you so much for coming over, take some time. Talk about those big uglies up front.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Yes, sir. I'm the O-line coach up here leading the guys, what we call the fist. So those 5 guys working together as one, trying to destroy whatever's in front of them.
So you were one of the guys that came up here last year. I mean, whole new setting. Talk to Coach Wheatley about settling in as a coaching staff. How's it been for you now that you're a full cycle through? You kind of know what to expect. What's it been like for Coach Byrd settling down now in year 2?
It's been awesome for me. Everybody, very friendly. It's kind of reminds me of when I was in college, when I went to UIndy. It's a lot of similarities. So, in a major city, very diverse, but a lot of great people. So I've been having a great time.
Have to ask you, what's something about being here in Detroit that maybe you didn't expect that was a nice little pleasant surprise that you really didn't know about, but you've come to learn to love?
Just a rich history. I had, only a small amount of information about, Wayne State and just Detroit, but just the rich history, the history about, this school and the vast amount of, alumni, a lot of things that got going on for, being part of the Wayne State family. So that was something that was very new for me.
Let's talk about those offensive linemen because they are the heartbeat of any team. No matter what system you run, whether you want to run spread or run it 75 times a game, like I know you guys would like to do if everything works out well.
Yes, sir.
But just talk about settling it in. I know you had a lot of turnover from last year, whether it be bringing guys in the portal or bringing in new high school kids, fresh recruits. What's it been like getting the guys there and really starting to establish the system you want to run here at Wayne State?
Well, we have had a little bit of turnover, but the core group of the guys that's been here. Guys like Tyler Schompert, he's been here for a few years. Aiden Tweedy, Charles Wesley, those guys have been here, so they've been through the grind and through the, the tough times and some of the good times. So, those are my core guys. They could go out there and get it done for me.
For those that watch Wayne State, I guess how do you guys describe your offense? Because it is kind of a option style, but it's not the traditional option. How do you guys describe it? And for the fans watching or listening at home, how can they describe it when they try to tell their friends about Wayne State offense?
It's gun triple, so, we're going to try to get the ball on the perimeter, things like that in the triple option, but, we do everything, that any other offense do. Run inside zone, we add a mid zone. We're going to run the gap scheme stuff, power. We're going to throw it around a little bit, so try to be a little bit more balanced than we were years prior in this office, but, we're going to try to get that thing, either hitting it up inside or try to get on the perimeter.
When a fan's watching the game, when they're sitting in the stands or maybe watching a road game at home, what's something they can look for with that offensive line just to give them a little bit of knowledge to say, all right, it's going well when the guys are doing this, and just make the fans just a hair more knowledgeable about what they're watching?
Well, it's going well when we're moving the ball forward and not backwards. So that's probably the simplest form of looking at it. And when I'm not going crazy on the sidelines, so that's another way. But, when the guys are moving around, getting set, getting down the field and things like that, and you can really see we're moving guys and, displacing people that's when you know that things are going well. And then, of course, in that passing game where they're keeping the quarterback up, he has time to deliver the ball and things like that. There's some things that, just a casual fan can see that, showing that we're doing great up front.
Because I know sometimes when you're watching the game, the offensive line will intentionally leave a guy unblocked, usually on the perimeter or something, to put him on an island and make him make a decision, and that's where your offense goes through. Just explain the basis of that, because to the casual fan, they say, oh, you left the D end unblocked or you let this linebacker unblocked. What the heck are they doing? Well, there's a little bit of a method to that madness.
Yes, it is. So, with our offense, again, we have a triple option, so we have the chance to, either run the ball with the running back, the quarterback can keep it and running or throw it, things like that. So sometimes, of course, it can look like they're letting this guy go free. Well, because we're reading him, and then once he declares what he's going to do, we can be able to read somebody else in the progression. So it just depends on what we're trying to do. And that's the great thing about this offense, that it's not that difficult. All you got to do is just know where the count is, who the guys that we're reading on the first level and second level reads, and then after that, just go have fun and play fast.
Let's talk about some of those guys up front that go hard, go play fast. You mentioned some of the returners. Give a little bit of love to those big men up front, because they're the names Sean and I don't say a lot on the radio. They're not the ones getting the headlines, scoring touchdowns. But when things are going well, the offensive line's usually playing pretty well. Give a little bit of love to those big uglies up front.
All right, so we got one guy that's already here with us right there, Tyler Schompert.
Talk to him in a minute.
He's the leader, vocal guy. He's a guy that, again, been through it, who's earned it. Went out there and earned it. But the year before we came, played a lot. Last year wasn't playing much early because I wanted to see a little bit more out of him, and then he ended up pulling that thing out and starting between the last few games of last season, and again has done a tremendous job of being the coach on the field and off the field, leading those guys. Sometimes when I'm not in meeting, he's the one leading them, so he's been doing an excellent job. I'm very proud of him. And then guys like Aiden Tweedy, who started last year, all conference guy, did a very good job. He's doing a good job this year, starting where he left off last year. And then Charles Wesley, who was, injured when I first got here, who came in this, in the fall and did very well, was a backup, then ended up earning the starter position at tackle. Started at guard the first game, but then we felt like it would probably be better if we move him back at tackle, gave us, a better matchup, with that lineup. And then we have Jaden Lewin, who's a guy who stepped up on the scene, who's very athletic kid, who's on the scout team for the most part last year, but really had a great spring and fall. Is doing a great job right now. We also have Tony Basirio, who's played some last year, playing now it's backup left tackle right now, giving some minutes. We had a freshman, Ricardo Warmer, who played a lot in the first game, who's a kid who's been here all summer. Came from Livonia Stevenson, been here and didn't miss a day all summer. So that's been he's been doing well. Owen Salink, another guy that came and played, started last game versus Ferris and did an amazing job, who, again, in the spring, in the winter, in this summer, busted his behind and, was able to, come and contribute. So, and then another guy, Will Edwards, who played some last year, who's doing a good job this year. So, I mean, those guys, again, those are, some of our core guys. And, of course, I can talk about other guys that are coming up and ready. Ethan Gates and, Will O'Brien came from who was a freshman last year from Cass, that came and got the game. So, if you see the game, that we played a lot of guys. We played, 7 to 8 guys in the game. That's good, because, that means that I trust them, and then it gives us the depth and things like that to do what we need to do and keep those guys fresh, especially those starters.
Mentioned bringing in some guys. What do you look for in an offensive lineman? Because you'll see a mix. Sometimes you'll see the big, just 6'6" guys on the edge or inside moving piles. But sometimes, especially at the D2 level, you'll get guys that maybe have the talent, have the technique, but are a little undersized, but got that dog in them, and they can get it going anyway. When you're on the recruiting trail, what are you looking for a future Wayne State offensive lineman?
Well, first and foremost, he's got to be a smart player, not just only knowledge on the field, knowledge off the field, because to be able to do what we need to do as far as, workouts and things like that, then going to have the class. You got to be able to do the class work, so that's a big part of it. And then the second part of it is, being able to be coachable, and love the game. College football is a little bit different from high school. It's a lot more demanding. The coaches are a lot more demanding, so you got to be able to love it to withstand, the day-to-day grind. But just far as, just the intangible things like that, guys who can move, who's athletic enough to do what we need to do because, we pull people, we run mid-zone, things like that. So we do a lot of movement. Then we put a lot on our O-line to be able to think and make checks and things like that on the line. So you got to be able to think and move and things like that. But outside of that, you got to be physical. You got to be able to knock guys back, displace guys and do things like that. Be able to move your feet, shock people with your hands and things like that. Be able to control people in the run game and the pass game.
Coach, I appreciate it. Anything else I missed? Anything else you want to give a little love to before we get ready for UIndy?
No, sir. You guys been grinding all week. We're going to try to finish up, tomorrow and Friday with a good, last 2 days of practice and come out there, start 6 o'clock, man. Go out there, show up and show out.
Appreciate it. He's Coach Rosco Byrd. I'm Brady Beedon. We'll talk to one of the O-linemen in a minute when we come back here Weekly with Wheatley. Now we are joined by Wayne State senior offensive lineman Tyler Schompert. Tyler, I know we've talked before, at least for the radio broadcast on the Senior Spotlight, but now we get a chance to talk with some of the Wayne State faithful in attendance. Real quick, I asked you this about a week and a half ago, but just quick, give your Wayne State story, how you got here, because Ohio kid, had to pass a few schools to get here, but said basically once you got here, you knew you were home.
Yeah, just like before, in high school, I actually, by the NCAA, did not approve of my 2 engineering classes for some reason. Don't know why. And a lot of schools looked over me and was like, we don't want you, you're going to fail, stuff like that. But Wayne State gave me an opportunity. They were like, yeah, we know about your situation. We'll still take a chance for you. And as soon as I got down here, I was like, I'm committed. I want to be here, and I love this place.
I always like to ask, what did you know about Wayne State before you got here? Because I think some people have the preconceived notion, it's in Detroit, I don't really want to go there. And then the tenor always changes when people get on campus. Did you know anything about Wayne State, or what did you know, if anything, before you came here?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know anything about Wayne State. All my buddies back home were just like, you're going to Detroit? And I was like, it's an adventure. I'm willing to take adventures. And as soon as I got down here, it was wonderful. There were so many nice people that introduced themselves to me. I just felt at home right away. I was like, this is a welcoming place.
Does it feel like you're in your final season right now? Because I know you've had a lot of ups and downs. Has not been a boring tenure here at Wayne State for you. But it's a drop of a hat, and next thing you know, you're the old guy in the room. You're the one everyone's looking towards. Everyone looks to you for wisdom. Does it feel like it's your final season? And what do you try to pass on to these young guys as we're entering this new era of Wayne State football?
Man, it flew by fast. I mean, I just remember, again, just being a freshman, sitting in the back watching film, and now I'm in the front. It's like everyone's calling me old man, all that and stuff like that. But the wisdom I always give to the younger guys is just, like, be bought into it and don't just go through the motions. I've seen too many great athletes here just go with the motion and just like, I'm just going to do whatever I want. Just believe what the coach says, and, like, we always say that we always give them a heart, but we don't give them our mind. And that really hit me, because I see a lot of people that are like, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it this way. But if you just listen to coach, everything works out. I mean, just like what coach said to me, 2 years ago I was starting, and then when the new coaches came in, I didn't get the opportunity to start, but I just believed in what the coaches says. I gave them my mind. They're like, we need you to work on this. I worked on it, busted my ass, and I'm here now, and I'm very grateful for all of it.
Are you starting to see more of that attitude as a whole team coming in? Because first year it's a bit of a transition. You're figuring it all out because it's new to everyone, whether you're a senior or a freshman.
Yeah.
No one really knows the expectations. But now that you've had a full offseason with them, are you starting to see everyone, not just yourself, but the young guys start to buy into this messaging and take a step forward?
Yeah, I mean, just this offseason we had like 70 different new guys showing up. So it was a new experience for me, because it was just like basically joining a new team. And it was because when you get them young, you can influence them. And then, like, if you have like a bunch of older guys, they just knew from the past and they always go back to the past. But as of right now, these young guys, I can't wait to come back. Like, a lot of people I know, like, oh, I can't wait to see you come back and stuff like that. I can't wait to come back and see you guys. I just can't wait. Like, even though it's my last year, I'll be here a long time looking over and be like, yeah, I remember these guys. I remember all the wisdom I gave them.
So record not quite where you want it right now. Dropped to two pretty good teams in Tiffin and Findlay. The one thing, though, about Findlay that I did like is got down pretty big. And I feel like there have been teams in the past that might have gone, all right, here we go again. It's happening. Not our day. We're getting run off the field. You guys started to fight a little more, and that's a hard thing to get out of a team or to teach a team is to learn to win and learn to fight because it's a thing, but it's not tangible. There's no one way to teach it. How do you, as a leader, try to get that influence in there and say, hey, we can do this. We just got to do it from Jump Street, not wait till we're down at halftime.
One of the, I forget who told me this, but it was like play with emotion, but don't be emotional. Mm-hmm. And it's just like you just have to have that passion to win. Like no matter what, even if the score in the previous half, it was just like, all right, screw it. It's 0-0. We got to come out fighting. Doesn't matter what the score is. If we just play our hearts out and do what coaches tell us, we can beat anyone.
Is that confidence level starting to rise? Because you did play, hey, with Tiffin, you had opportunities in that game. In Findlay, you started to show in that second half that a lot of their starters were still in. They didn't throw in all the freshmen. They had their guys in there when you were scoring. Are you starting to gain that confidence, not just as an offensive line, but as an offense and a team as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, just believing in everyone. Like this group of guys, again, it's something special. I could clearly see it with this group. It's something special. There's no one that like just gives up right away and goes, oh, we're doing this again. Good old Wayne State. No, this team is very different, and the record might not show it. But again, this team, I love this team. This is a great team.
I always like to showcase not just what you're doing on the field, but what your plans are after, because I do feel Wayne State, no matter what you're going into, can set you up for the future. Mm-hmm. What's your future like? What did you study? What did you get your degree in? And where are you going to go once you hang up the cleats?
There's multiple opportunities for me. Again, I'm majoring in construction management, and I have a minor in business administration. I have a couple of construction jobs back home in Cleveland, but I got an opportunity in Detroit, so I'm kind of pondering that. I also decided a couple of weeks ago, even after this conversation we had before, that I'm looking into becoming an actual coach. I might hang up the cleats, but I don't want to give away football for a while now.
Well, that's awesome to hear, and I know, plenty of guys have came through here, started coaching, have moved on. I'm sure if we had the Wayne State Encyclopedia, Jeff Weiss here, he could list all 30 of them that have done it in the last 20 years. But no, I think you have a great temperament. I think you have the right idea going forward. So whether you end up working in construction, whether you end up being a coach, I'm sure you'll be successful. But it sounds like Detroit's kind of made the impact on you, and not so sure you want to go straight back home. This might be where, family's got to come to Michigan now for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I just been pondering that for the year, just like what am I going to do in the future and stuff like that. But the more that I sometimes go back home, it's more like I got to start my own adventure. I got to go somewhere else. I can't just always stay at home and just always I want to spread my wings, get more information outside of my hometown, stuff like that. And I know Detroit is just a wonderful place to do that.
Well, Tyler, I really appreciate it. Thanks for sitting down with me once again, and good luck against Indy. Stay healthy the rest of the year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
He's Tyler Schompert. I'm Brady Beedon. We'll talk with Coach Wheatley next here on Weekly with Wheatley. Now we are joined by head ball coach Tyrone Wheatley. Coach, thanks for coming here, joining us once again. Felt like it was just yesterday we were talking because, we were talking yesterday. But let's talk about Saturday before we go any further. Findlay comes in and you score first, and then Findlay scores on their next 6 drives. Down big, but the kids kept fighting. Now that the dust is settled, what do you take out of that loss to Findlay where got down big, but those kids never stopped fighting?
Well, what I take from it is that it's in them. They have it, right? We just have to use it on a consistent basis. And proud of them. I know a lot of people say there's no such thing as moral victories but you have to take all the positives that you can get out of it and build on it, right? And just continuously build on the positives. And that's what you have to take. Trying to build a program, You have to take those positives and continue to build and continue to build. But at the end of the day, I knew it was in them, and they showed it.
So through 2 games, you've scored 47 points, but 41 of those have come in the second half. What is it about getting the guys ready for the first half? Because once the engines get running, once they get warmed up, they look like a pretty darn good football team. It's just, getting everyone going at first and kind of shaking off the cobwebs.
It's kind of a mixture of really 2 huge things. One is you didn't have a lot of production coming back in that, this year. Quarterback, receiver. You look at 2 of our starting receivers, they were ineligible last year, so they didn't play. Our quarterback is a redshirt freshman. He played in 3 games, right? So you didn't have a lot of production. And reason that's important is because when you come out, everyone's still trying to fill the game. They're trying to fill it out instead of saying, hey, listen, we've been together. We know exactly what we can do, and we know exactly who we are. Let's go be the tip of the spear. Let's go ahead and let's go right away. The second portion of it is it's the whole filling it out thing, right? It's when you haven't really had success over a long period of time, you're trying to figure it out, right? You're trying to figure out, is this team really who they are? Is this team is going to be physical? So they're trying to feel their way through it. And then all of a sudden you say, wait a minute, we could play with this team. As opposed to going out and just playing hard, make the mistakes, get them corrected, and then let the cards fall where they may.
You said something in the post-game interview with Tony Ortiz that struck a chord that I wanted you to expand on here. You talked about when you rebuilt the programs, when you turned programs around. At what point did you know that, all right, they're getting it and we're turning the corner? What was it with those at your previous stops that you knew, all right, we have the foundation built, now we just need to go upward from here?
Well, it's really when you understand the young men. And when I say understand the young men is when you can look at, like, I'll give you a prime example. Last year, it wasn't so much about the structure of the team. It wasn't so much about the scheme. It was everybody is trying to make a play. It meant they were very selfish. This year, you have a lot of guys who want to believe and want to play within the structure, who want to watch film, who want to get better. But once again, it's like, okay, they don't know how to take it and just go ahead and use it. And so that's when, once you understand that and they want to take it and grasp it for themselves and then hold each other accountable, that's when you know you have the team.
What was it in that game last week that changed? Was it, hey, the guys was it mental? They started believing more? They stopped making mistakes? Or what was it in the second half, I guess, is the best way to phrase it, because it was night and day difference between first half and second half. What was it?
You should have asked the guy that was sitting in the seat before me. He could have told you better. No. I think what really happened is like we talked about, they went through the game and they felt their way through it. And it's just kind of one of those deals where, wait a minute, this team isn't what we think they are. Everything that has happened to us, we did it. Self-inflicted wounds. So it wasn't so much as what Findlay is doing, it's what we're doing. Right? And I just kind of made a joke with the guys and just said, hey, you guys owe me 28 points in the second half. And, jeez, they came out and did it.
Who were some of the guys that you thought stepped up when you sat back and watched film and got to take a deeper look at it? Who did you think had a really nice performance against Findlay in the loss?
Well, I mean, second half you look at, of course, Champion, right? He came out and, man, did he just took it. And Xavier Tyers, he showed up. Offensive line turned around and they showed up as a group. Our receivers, you talk about Manny catching a touchdown, then you turn around Miles. Unfortunately, he got injured in the end. Tuggle did some good things. Defensively, once again, you go as an entire group. The defensive line really hunkered down, started playing their gaps, just really started playing sound football and didn't give up much rushing yards in that second half. And then, of course, Caleb Coleman, he's been stellar.
I thought the defense from the jump did pretty well against the run. They were plugging up gaps. Findlay wasn't running for much. It's just on the pass rush there wasn't as much there. So I'm assuming that's one spot where you'd like to see a little improvement, take a step forward as you get closer to GLIAC play.
Well, I mean, Findlay had a pretty good, game plan against us. They checked. They knew when we were in pressures, and they checked and they hit the zones and they hit certain things. And so what we did in the second half, we just stopped blitzing, and they didn't have a check for a blitz. So you take the check away, right? So, I mean, we make this game sometimes harder than what it is, and then sometimes you just have to go back to the basics.
Well, I appreciate that, Coach. We will talk about UIndy real quick. Want to remind everyone that the inaugural Wayne State University Athletics Champion Classic was such a success this past July. We're bringing it back. The second annual Champions Classic will be held on Monday, July 28th in 2025 at TPC Michigan in Dearborn. Again, on July 28th, 2025 at TPC Michigan is the date for the second annual WSU Athletics Champions Classic. So as we close the chapter on Findlay, we take a look to a UIndy team that's another very solid program. Went down there and, well, they showed that they're one of the better teams in the GLVC. Always been a solid program. Really in everything they do, UIndy's pretty solid. Simply put, when you look at the film, what can you tell Warrior fans about this Greyhound squad?
Well, like we talked about, I don't want to get kind of redundant and boring, but they're carbon copies of one another. Defensively, going to be very stout and stellar up front. Their secondary is a little different than last week's, meaning that they're going to play a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, and they are in the run fits. I mean, they are very aggressive and very physical. Offensively, the quarterback, he's a guy, right? I think he was Harlan Hill Trophy candidate, and he's going to extend plays. He can get the ball to the receivers where he needs to get them to. But he's a guy, right? And he's an older guy. He's mature, runs the offense, and the team plays for him. Offensive line, big, sturdy offensive line who's going to protect him. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure he's protected. But as I said about, to the team the other day they're a great team. I think they're ranked they're 15th now. I think they moved up in the rankings. An incredible team, but right now it's not so much as who they are, it's who we are.
The first two games against Tiffin and Findlay, Indy's a good team, but they're not anything extraordinarily better than what you've seen. And you've had success in pockets against these teams. What do you need to do to get more of a full 4 quarters and the consistency? Because you've shown you have the ability to play with those teams. It's just doing it for 60 minutes and doing it for 4 quarters.
Well, we talked about competitive stamina, right? You have some young guys, but a lot of knowledge guys with the production from last year. But what we have to be able to do is understand that they're going to make some plays, and there are going to be some ebbs and flows, and we cannot what I call it just getting off the reservation, right? You have to stay locked in, stay in it, and just answer the call. But we have to be able to get out and do it very early and do it often, and just be prepared for the onslaught and not kind of suck in terms of getting upset, being pissed off, and then hanging our heads and then saying, you know what, let's come out in the second half. You have to do it early.
Because UIndy's a good team, Findlay, Tiffin are good teams. You're going to play a lot more good teams. They're going to do things well. They're on scholarship too. They're there trying to win the game. I always like to say keeping the train on the tracks. You're going to hit a bump or two. It's natural to happen, but to be able to compose yourself on the sideline and go out, and sometimes the offense has to pick up the defense when it's a shootout. Sometimes the defense has to pick up the offense. I think they did that a little bit in the Tiffin game. And it's just keeping everything going in the same direction and not letting one mistake become 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Well, what you're talking about is complementary football. Special teams, offense, defense, right? You have to complement one another. But I think that also comes with time, right? That comes with time. You have, like I said, we don't have a lot of production. These guys don't have a lot of field time. And what happens is as game 1, game 2, game 3, and then even into next year, you'll start to see that happen, and it grows. And then what happens is you get a lot of the guys with the old blood who don't really understand the movement. And what I mean by understand the movement is what we talk about, complementary football. Some of the guys are kind of affected by the pass. Whoa, here we go again, right? Instead of, man, listen, let's go. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody wants to box until you get punched in the mouth, right? So who are we? Do we throw the front punch, wait for the second one, and then it's a battle from that point on?
You've had a lot of different personnel go in and out offensively and defensively. Is that something you're looking to keep on going forward where you have basically 2 full groups going in and out? Or as you figure out what you have, especially with some of these freshmen that are getting some playing time, are you going to try to settle in and try to find your core 11 on each side?
Right now we're trying to find guys who can play for us, but not only that, keep them fresh. And that's how you continue to build the program, right? You got to expedite the process a little bit by rotating guys and keeping them fresh, but also getting them playing time and getting them experience. Right now, we don't have the core where we can just leave them on the field and let them go. We don't have that right now.
All right, so getting ready for UIndy, where do you guys need to make the biggest improvement if you want to get win number 1 in the season in a great atmosphere at night at Tom Adams Field?
We have to have a Hussein-type blocks getting out of the first quarter, man. That's we got to get out the blocks, right? We have to get out the blocks, maintain, and keep, get across the finish line first.
Do you think having a night game at home, always a little different energy with a night game, do you think that will help a little bit at least? Hey, if you're not getting up for this, it's going to be tough to get you up for anything for a night game at home against a ranked opponent?
Well, you're asking a different type of dude, man. We can play in the parking lot on Sunday. It don't give me. But with these young men, I try not to make it, big deal about it. It's football. Whether it's night, lights, daytime, it makes no difference. So you just have to get ready to play for football. I think the only thing is just trying to keep their minds occupied for that big weight.
Coach, I appreciate it. Last question. I know we've kind of touched on it, but just nutshell it. Keys to a Warrior victory against a ranked Indy team.
Well, we did a great job last week of reducing penalties. I think we had the one really hurt us, so we continue to reduce them. If we can get to 0, that'll be awesome. Turnovers, we had the one interception who was crucial, so continue to reduce the turnovers. Extending plays, extending drives, that is crucial because the longer we stay on the field, their defense is on the field and their offense is off. But we talked about it. We have to come out early. We have to come out early and sustain the momentum and just continue to push and go through.
Coach, I appreciate it. Good luck against Indy.
Thank you very much.
He's Coach Tyrone Wheatley. I'm Brady Beedon. You've been listening to Weekly with Wheatley. Throw it backwards for you. 6 p.m. kickoff over at Tom Adams Field this Saturday against UIndy. Hope to see you all out there. We'll be off next week as well. We head down to Missouri. That'll be a fun road trip. But
oh yeah,
long road trip. But thank you so much. Thank you to Woodbridge Pub, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Michigan First Credit Union is a proud sponsor of Wayne State Athletics. With a custom-built mobile app and 2 branches and 10 ATMs located on or near campus, Michigan First makes banking easy and convenient. And we're proud to serve our communities all across Metro Detroit. Michigan First. Experience banking undefined. For details, visit MichiganFirst.com. Go Warriors!